When you have multiple Excel tables in a workbook, it's likely they'll have fields in common. For example, a customer might place an order, and you would store that customer's ID number as part of the order. You could then look up a customer's mailing address and other information using that ID. This saves your customer service representative time and reduces errors by not requiring them to enter data for each sale. In this movie, I will show you how to define relationships between tables. My sample file is separate tables 0901, and you can find it in the Chapter 9 folder of your exercise files collection. This workbook contains 3 worksheets. On customers, which is what I have displayed here, you'll see that I have customer information. One thing I'll point out is that each row in this table has a unique value in the customer number field. So you can see that for Callie Reynolds from Bismarck, North Dakota, it's customer 1, number 2 for Sydney Bartlett, and so on. It's important to have a unique value for each row in a column so that you can identify any row in a table uniquely. So for example, there's only one customer with customer ID number 1, only one with number 2, and so on. You need that to be in place when you create relationships between tables. We'll now take a look at products. And you see here that we have stock keeping unit, or SKU, as the index field, as it's called, with the unique values. One thing to note, though, about this particular table is that each product has its own SKU, and they are unique, but it's best practice to have an arbitrary value. If I switch back to customers, you'll see here that each customer has a unique number, and we're not storing any information in that field. Like I said, it's just a number. But for products, we're using the SKU as the index, and even though it's not the same at present, this isn't the best way to go because it is conceivable that there could be another KE-AAA06 later on in the product collection. But in this case, we'll let it go because we know there are no duplicates at the moment. Finally, we have the orders table. We have order number, which is a unique value, but also note that we have customer number and SKU. Customer number is here in the second column, column B, and the number refers back to a customer in the customers table. If we want to create a relationship, we need to create a link between customer number here and the customers table. Same thing for stock keeping unit or SKU. We can point back to products and then get information about them using this unique value. So the next question is, how do you define relationships between tables? Well, you do that by adding them to the data model. I'll start by going to the Data tab of the ribbon, and then in the Data Tools group, you'll see a Relationships button. If you have higher screen resolution than I do, then your button will look different, but when you hover your mouse pointer over it, it will say Relationships. So I'll click that, and the Manage Relationships dialog box appears. In this dialog box, I'll click New, and I can create a relationship. Excel goes in what I think is backward order, in that you need to identify the table that will receive values, in other words, that contains the foreign key, and then identify the table that's providing the source. So we'll start by identifying the relationship between the orders table and the customers table. So I'll start by clicking the first table controls list box, and I will identify orders 5. And then the column that we're looking for is customer number. And the table that provides those values will be customers, and the primary key is customer number. And click OK. And when we do, we get our relationship. Now we can do the same thing for products. So I'll click New. And the table, once again, is the orders 5 table. Then column will be SKU, or stock keeping unit. And then the related table is products, and the related column is, again, SKU. In both cases, my columns have had the same name, but they don't have to. They just need to contain the same data. I'll click OK. And when you look, you can see that I have 2 relationships, one between orders and customers, and one between orders and products. Now that I'm done, I can click Close, and my relationships are in place, and I can continue work.